WCA have kind of secretly made a big announcement recently. They are officially hiring an executive officer. It's unheard of for the WCA.
I do think it is a very pivotal time for the WCA. It's
Trying to channel and
You can see the aura radiating off of Chris Mills as he walks back to the
Come on,
winning
dude, he's
area.
earned it, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely.
what's going on?
What's going on? Well, I won PSL Seattle. That's what's going on.
Let's go!
I was pretty geeked on that. PSL Seattle was super, super cool. It was in this like arcade in Seattle, obviously. And it was a really interesting venue. Like we hadn't done something like that before, but I had a great time. You know, it was cool seeing Do Kwon. That guy just moved to Seattle for college. A lot of people were confused why he was there, but that's why he's there. And then Samir, yeah, he's in America, dude. Like I've been talking to him a bit online. Like he's actually really cool. We played pool actually at PSL Seattle, and he actually cooked me, so that wasn't fun. But yeah, they had like PSL playing like on the screens in there and everything. It was super fun. I've been thrifting a little bit, like in California. You know, I bought me some shoes. Bro, I think these Johns is from the I think these are from the 90s. Apparently, like they were popular in like the Sandlot movie or something. But there was
I
a
don't
pair
know
of
what that is, but I trust it.
It's a baseball movie. Y'all don't have baseball down there.
No.
But yeah, there was a pair of red ones. I didn't get those, but I got these blue ones for $15 actually. Shout out. And then
thrift stores.
Yeah, shout out Goodwill, bro. I mean, not really, but yeah. And then I've just been coaching, doing my thing, been streaming. Recently on stream, someone asked me how much would they have to pay me to dye my hair rainbow, and I thought about it, and I said $250. And
that's not much money.
What?
But dyeing your hair rainbow.
It's really not, but like, you know, California gas, bro. Like, come on. Like, and so yeah, now there's a dono goal. End of October, if we reach 250, chat gets us decide what to do with my hair. So if you want to have some input on that, go dono on my stream. You know, I'll be streaming a lot.
Wait, end of October, surely you dress as a clown for Halloween, but you like your hair is actually dyed like
no, dude. No, dude.
You do like a live stream and you're in like a full clown getup.
The thing is like if I hit the dono goal like before October, like there's a world where I have rainbow hair at All Stars, because All Stars is I'm busy on Halloween because I'm going to All Stars. So like,
oh no. You can have your competition of your career getting national champion, US national champion, and in all the videos for the rest of your life have you with rainbow hair.
That would be funny.
I think you've made some interesting decisions in the last couple of weeks, Dylan.
Yeah, definitely.
But you know what? I respect it.
What decisions have you made in the last couple of weeks, Mills?
I have made the decision to procrastinate a lot of my uni work. And now we're currently at the end of week 12 of my semester, and all my assignments are coming in hot, and I'm like, ah!
Yeah.
So
no, for
there
sure.
was a lot of scrambling to get everything together, and I'm almost done. It's been a stressful week. That's kind of been most of what I was doing, but I was watching PSL on Monday, procrastinating the study, of course. And I was just kind of like casually cubing on the side, and I was just having some thoughts. And I kept on seeing everybody like make mistakes, like just make critical errors, which made them lose solves. Like, firstly, timer starts, that was a big issue. But also like people just like messing up cross or having crazy lockups. And I'm like, surely I could do better than that. And I'm like, if I was at a head-to-head like this, I would be making the same kind of mistakes. So I was like, how can I make my solves like PSL proof, essentially? Make my solves so consistent and solid that if I went to a PSL or even like a head-to-head WCA final, I could be confident that I wouldn't make these critical errors. So then I just started looking at my solves, and I'm like, oh yeah, these are big mistakes. And with my procrastination, I started working with ChatGPT and building myself a trading plan until New Zealand Nationals in a few months.
Interesting.
So I've got a whole thing now. I feel like I understand it now. I like look to my solves and I'm like, you know what? I feel like I've got it. I've got what I need to do to get like sub 6 and beyond, like consistently. So then I just wanted to practice, but now I had to lock back into uni and push aside the practice until next week, and then we lock in. But we had a bit of news over the week. Obviously, PSL happened. That was great. We'll touch on that a bit later. But Felix, who was our main discussion from last week, he had another competition where he decided to pick up the GAN 16 and do his first comp with that, and he got his PR mean of 3 rounds, which was sub 6 mean of 3 rounds. He got like 6.1, 6.1, and then 565 in the finals, with OCR best possible average. He would have needed, I think he needed a 5.1 on the last solve to get OCR, but like some good consistent solving from Felix. Like he is back. We were glazing him last week and we're glazing him this week again. Shout out my goat.
Yeah, he left a comment on the last episode too. Shout out for supporting, I mean, that's always super cool. I still fanboy every time I talk or see Felix interact with anything I've ever done. But yeah, it's really cool seeing them kind of lock back in. I didn't realize that this had OCR BPA, but I mean, yeah, I think what's cool about Felix's solving style is like it's generally really solid and consistent. I mean, maybe there's times where like he doesn't perform amazingly, but he's got the very like consistent smooth turning when he's like not super shaky, which like he has been in the past, but normally he just gets through it. But yeah, his solving style, it's really cool still seeing it be feasible in the Big 25. I mean, anytime you see him do well, like it's always super cool. So
yeah, I mean, he's been solving at a top level for so long. I was chatting to some friends the other day, and we were talking about like old world record singles and stuff. And then we looked at like when Yusheng Du got 347, which was almost 7 years ago now. Almost 7 years ago. And then I realized that weekend that 347 happened, I was at a comp in the UK that Felix was also at. And you know what average Felix won the finals with? 617. Which is still a good average today. If he gets that in a final, 617, like that's good for him. That's good for basically anybody in this continent. And he was doing that almost 7 years ago. So he's been like, obviously he was on the top for so long, but now he is still a top level 3x3 solver. But anyway, that's enough of Faz. We spent a whole week discussing him last week. So go back to that if you're interested. Another thing that happened is Max got another world record. He got a 4x4 world record average, taking it back off Timon, 1874. I don't know how much that beat Timon by. It's not too much, maybe 0.1. But some crazy solving from Max. Like he's on top. That's 4 world records in a week. Over 2 weekends, he set 4 world records, which is absolutely insane. Like we just don't see that nowadays, especially spread across 3 different events.
Yeah, and like we were talking about like Felix and Max still got it. Like Max obviously still has it, especially in like, the bigger cubes, and I'm sure he's happy to get his world record back in 4x4. Yeah, I mean, he's still super good at all of these events. Like of course he's probably the best in the world at them still, but I do think we're seeing kind of like, I don't know how much longer this is going to keep up. I mean, I guess I've been saying that for a little bit, so maybe I'm just like doomer, but I mean, we're seeing other really competent people in Max's main events. Like I think Henry Lickner, Mark Zimmerman, I mean, obviously Timon and like the big cubes as well. Yeah, there's a bunch of other people that I think are really gunning for those world records. So good for Max to kind of keep them on their toes, but I'm excited to see maybe some more parity in the end by ends.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, he's been on top for so long, and it's interesting with Max's WRs. They always kind of like clump together. Like he'll have a kind of down period where he's not breaking records, he's not doing so well. He's still competing, but just kind of getting like averages for him. And then all of a sudden, he'll go in a period where he's just like breaking world record after world record after world record, and then he'll kind of die off for a few months and then come back again and then be like, you know what, no guys, don't count me out, I'm still breaking world records. I remember at the start of 2020 just before COVID, that was like a period for Max where he was doing the same sort of thing as he is now. So you can kind of see a trend in this. But yeah, shout out Max, shout out all these WRs. It's always good to see. Other news, Monkey League is back. Obviously, we talked about how you were doing qualifiers. Very sad you didn't make it. One spot. I cry for you. We all cry for you. But now you don't have the stress of competing in it, and you can just enjoy the show like we all do. So that we had the first match a few days ago. I stayed up till 1 a.m. in the morning to watch this match, and then stayed up watching it because I was just so excited for Monkey League to be back. Back in the day when Monkey League was popular over COVID, I always used to get in Discord calls, and I'd watch it together with my friends, and we did exactly the same thing for the first match. It was just so exciting to kind of have a sport feel to online cubing again. And I mean, look at these solves. Like it's so much faster than it was when we had Monkey League back in the day. Like, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah. I mean, obviously, I wish I could be competing in this, like saying I get to enjoy it as Cope. I could do that even if I was competing. But I mean, yeah, I'm excited to see it. What I really want to do for this season is I really want to break down like a lot of these matches kind of like on my own channel and just see any things that kind of stand out to me. I think it's really cool, especially that we're getting a lot more Chinese representation in Monkey League now as well. Obviously we have Bofon. Obviously
no Flash.
We have no Flash. we have Bofon. We have like the level of competition is way higher now, and I'm really excited to see kind of how it all goes down.
It's this match itself was like crazy. Like going into this, everyone in my voice chat watching this is like, oh yeah, Yihung's got this. It's just gonna be like a wash. But Bofon did really well, and Yihung struggled, especially because they're using 4-pad, and we all know Yihung at his timer starts how many issues those have been. And he really struggled with the timer starts and stop with these 4-pad, and it made it seem like actually maybe he's not too far ahead. He's just so good at starting a timer fast when it's on 2-pad mode.
I think there's a level of truth to this, but I also think I don't think Yihang's probably practiced with 4-pad ever. I think by the end of the season, after he gets more experience with it, it'll be negligible of a difference. Like, when I first started doing 4-pad, like it was really hard for me, and I was like, don't make this legal, like and then I had to do it for PSL, and it's like, yeah, no, it's just skill issue. Like if you're doing legal starts and stops, which interesting maybe for Yihang, but then you shouldn't be losing much time anyways. So I mean, yeah. I think it won't play too much of a factor going forward, but I think we're seeing him just kind of get used to the format here and the new starting and stopping stuff.
Yeah, I spoke to Timon like during this match, and I asked him like how long ago did Felik the Wiki tell everybody that they were going to be using 4-pad, and he said, oh yeah, ages ago. We knew about this ages ago. So they were given the opportunity to practice. It wasn't like it was thrown on them last second. Obviously, Yihang's probably got most of his focus on WCA competitions at the moment, so he wasn't practicing with 4-pad because it's a little bit tricky to get used to 4-pad for one event and then back to 2-pad for your WCA comps. So hopefully we see some more consistency in events over the coming years. But I just want to shout out Bofon here. Like some of his solves were really good. What we were noticing is like in that solve right there, he got an easy ZB case and he struggled. On all of the easy ZB cases, it's like he panicked because he knew the solve would be good and like had a really poor finish. And on the really tricky ones, like the Soon and the antisune, he did really well. So he's got to like look at that case. That's not an easy case to recognize and execute, and he absolutely nailed that. So I think a bit more consistency in Bofon's solves, calming himself down a bit more in the last layer, and he can be in like that mid-4 range pretty consistently.
Yeah, especially the ZBLS wasn't even easy there either. Like that was a pretty tricky case. So all through and through, like yeah, I do think Buffon is slightly underrated. I mean, he unfortunately missed Worlds Finals, um, but he was my dark horse pick actually to get like top five. I was a little bit off on that one, but yeah, I do think he can definitely be really competitive, and kind of show that he's in that upper tier of like the Chinese solvers.
Yeah, I'm a big Bo fan.
Oh, I like that. Both fans.
Okay, well, I think that's enough of Monkey League. There was a match actually this morning before we recorded between Luke and Timon. You've watched her, I have not, so I don't want any spoilers. So we're not going to talk about that. But go to monkeyleague.org to see all of the upcoming matches. They're streamed on I think the Monkey League channel, or also Laser Zero Monkey Twitch. Shout out Philip Lewicki. I'm so excited he's brought this back. He seems to have put in a lot of work to figure out the exact format that's optimal, the whole system, getting everybody coordinating multiple different time zones. We've got Brazilians, we've got Americans, we've got Chinese competitors, we've got Dutch competitors, Polish competitors. Like, it is such a monstrous effort to coordinate this kind of thing, and Philip's doing it. So thank you. He is doing us, the community, a favor by putting this on. It growed the community so much over COVID, and I hope that everybody picks up Monkey League again like they did over COVID.
100%.
But let's go back to PSL Seattle. Obviously, Dylan Miller, our PSL Seattle champion. Shout out. He finally got his win. We have a few stories from the competition.
Yes.
So walk us through it, Dylan. What kind of went on?
Yeah, so the first real big thing that happened was Morgan Ye in his round 1 match loses to the man of the comp, honestly, Zhang. I might be butchering that. I'm sorry. But yeah, it was the 6 to the 3 seed. Zhang qualified in through the intermediate bracket. He's been a PSL Pro bracket competitor before, but yeah, just not really quality solves from either competitor. I think Morgan got like an 11 or something like that, and then yeah, Zhuheng just kind of took advantage of that. A Rue solver, by the way, pretty interesting. But I remember I was talking to Morgan before we were doing the walkouts for this comp, and I was showing everyone the bracket, and I was telling Morgan, and I was like, because Morgan was, if he won his match, was going to go against me. Or no, something like that. I was supposed to face Morgan at some point, and I was like, bro, like, you better make it out. Like, you got this. Like, that's on you. And then I think I jinxed it or something. And yeah, he didn't solve amazingly. And then, like we said, Zhuheng got a crazy Cinderella run. He gets the intermediate bracket. He makes it to the pro bracket, beats Morgan, the 3 seed. And then he goes on to almost beat Samir. And then, yeah, he almost beat Do Kwang. I forget. He was cooking. I don't remember.
He was 100%. Cooking. That's all we can remember. Matters. He was cooking.
Yeah, and then because Morgan got knocked out in the first round, the first match of losers is Samir versus Morgan, which were like 2 of the favorites to win, besides me and Do Kwang. So one of them getting, like, I don't even know what placement it is, like 5th place or something, like off rip is crazy. Like, that was sparks were flying. And then yeah, there was a fire alarm that happened. That was pretty goofy. There was a bunch of jokes of like, oh, Morgan's solves were too fire, and then whatever, and there was a lot of that, and good bits, guys. Good job, very original.
Good job.
And then yeah, it was really fun. I mean, like I said, I had a great time, just vibes overall. The overall quality of solving from most competitors wasn't ideal. Like I struggled. Do Kwang, when I went against him in winners final, he literally on the last solve to like potentially stay alive, he just didn't finish the cube, and he just like reset the timer in the middle of it, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. Yeah, but in grands, it was a lot better.
Yeah, I think the atmosphere in the venue, you're obviously like basically in an arcade. Watching the live stream, you just occasionally hear like what's it called? Air hockey getting played in the
Yeah,
background,
yep.
or like there was occasionally some like goofy sounds, like those goofy sound effects that would play like mid solve. And I heard one of them like in the middle of one of your solves, and I was like, if that was me, that would have cracked me up. And then you got like a low 5 or something, and I'm like, bro, how's this not throwing you off?
Well,
Um,
I
but yeah, it
I
was
will
so good to
say,
see you guys kind of get it together in the end.
yeah, I will say in my experience at PSL competitions, like I fully do not expect ideal conditions, and I think that helped me out a lot because I just expect the lighting to not be ideal. I expect there to be like people like heckling. I expect like whatever. Like the setting of these competitions is not at all competitor focused, and that's totally fine. It's to be as good as it can be for the spectator. And so I think I've built a tolerance to that. And I think to a degree it's helped me at WCA well. But yeah, just not needing amazing conditions, and also everyone's dealing with it too. Like maybe I hear a noise that Samir doesn't in his solve, but like at the end of the day, it comes down to skill issue.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Anyway, like the first solve of grand finals was which was between you and Samir. Like everyone's kind of been solving a bit poor throughout the whole competition, and then Samir kicks off finals with this 4-second solve, this 4.7, and it was like, oh, okay, now we're getting started. And
Yeah.
then you come up right afterwards solving on the same scramble, and you beat that 4. We went the whole competition with, I don't think we'd seen a single 4.
Yep.
Samir gets this, and right afterwards, you beat that 4. So crazy stuff there. Good job.
Thank you.
And I think we were going to look at this scramble now because you had some kind of X-Cross tips to take from it, didn't you?
Yeah, there's definitely a good X cross tip that we can look through on this. And yeah, I was really glad to Samir and I found the same idea. So I was really glad to take the W on this. But let's take a look at that now. So let's take a look at these dual sub 5s that me and Samir both got. This is going to be our ALG / tip / case of the week, your favorite segment. What we're looking at is we have a free pair on yellow here. Now, a lot of times what people would think to do is to just see this as a free pair and opt to preserve it in that manner. Now, while this is generally a really solid approach, there's a much more efficient way to actually deal with this edge and this pair. And instead of thinking about this as we have a pre-made pair with orange-blue, we can think about this as we have a block made with our yellow-blue edge and our yellow-orange-blue corner. So a way that we could turn this into an X cross is we can see, okay, if I do an L2, our X cross edge here will be solved into its correct spot. So now we're just going to build the rest of our cross around this. So we're going to start by putting orange relative to green with R prime, B prime. And now we want to be able to freely access this block and this edge. So in order to do that, we need to move these pieces out of the way with a D2. And now what you could do just to preserve the pair would be like L prime U, L2, like this, and now you have your pair here. However, like I said, if we think about this as a block, we can do U, and now these are detached, and this is a pattern that Felix actually went over in a walkthrough solve I saw like probably 10 years ago at this point. But this is a nice pattern to recognize. This edge is a L2A for being solved. If you have a pair here, you can just do U, L2. Now we have our square made, and then this D prime builds this block at the back, and then R prime finishes our cross. And this is a much more efficient way to deal with this free pair. So you can think about free pairs as either blocks or as free pairs, and in this case, it's much more efficient to view it in that block manner. If you want me to look through your solves the way I just did me and Samir's solution here, I can go through some solves with you. I do coaching. Go to my website, solvewithdylan.com. I'll coach anyone no matter your speed, and hopefully we'll help you get a bit faster.
One way you can actually practice these sort of X crosses and more is Ulrik Bredlund, a Norwegian delegate, has actually got this really cool website that Luke Greiser mentioned in a video recently, and I checked out. It's called solved.no. And there's a bunch of trainers, a bunch of sort of resources on there. And one of those is this X-Cross trainer, where you can set the amount of moves you want a discoverable X-Cross to be, and then generate a scramble. All right, so now we're going to use one of those tools on the website, the X-Cross trainer. On this scramble underneath Dylan and I's hands is a 6-move X-Cross on white. We're going to try and race to find it. Right, Dylan, are you ready?
I'm so ready.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go. I can't find it. Where is it?
Bang. Bang! Since I am the rightful winner, I found this X-Cross. It's going to be from yellow top, blue front, at least from the way I scrambled with white on bottom. So we have a block with, for me, green, orange. And blue is almost relative to red. Orange is almost relative to green. So what you need to do is you need to hide this corner in order to get this edge in. But typically, if you just do that with like L, F, L prime, we don't actually solve this X-Cross edge. So instead what you do is you do the B prime to start, and then you do L2, so this gets hidden. Now this F move reduces down to the same idea we had previously, L2, R, D prime, and that's the X-Cross.
All right, so after some requests for solves submitted by viewers to be in the inspection segment this week, we got a bunch of submissions, and the first one that came in was from Jack Maddigan, a good friend of mine, a delegate from New Zealand. So we're going to watch his solve right now, and then we're going to break it down and try and give him some tips. So I believe Jack usually averages around high 8 seconds. I think he's got like a low 8 official average. So let's watch the solve here. Eesh. So, I mean, the turning's pretty good, like off the bat, but that Y2 in F2L, we don't like the Y2. So let's break down this solve bit by bit. So he solves on white, just doing a standard cross, and the way he executed the cross, I honestly don't have really anything to add on the cross. I think it's a solid solution. Putting this blue piece in here, so then you can put this green one opposite the blue, and then you can also slot in, just do a D, slot in this block here, and then a D, F prime. I would imagine he noted that this was going to be solved. I'm not sure about this corner here. You could maybe try and turn it into an X cross because you've got 2 corners solved, but it might have been quite tricky. Anyway, he planned this first pair in the back left, which is nice. And then here is where stuff maybe starts to go a little bit wrong. So we've got 2 solved corners, a diag and a pair in the back left. So this is actually quite a weird case. But he is going to solve the blue-orange pair by rotating first, since it's a misoriented edge. So he's going to rotate, solve it with L moves, and then solve red-blue in the front. And I think here is where we could have done something a little bit different. So he's going to do F prime, and then sexy, like the sexy sledge one, and then a U rotate, pair up this, and then rotate again, so we can sledge and get EO. I think here you could probably chuck in a hedge, and it saves a rotation. Then here he does antisune, which I believe he executes from thumb on bottom. So a regrip before the antisune. Want to try and do that in home grip. And then just a G-perm. I want to look at the 3rd and 4th pairs. So we're going to start with the same solution, same first 2 pairs, and then we're going to rotate, solve this, like this. And before we did that rotation, we want to try and note what's in this front left slot. We want to try and remember that that is a solved corner. So after we've done that rotation and we're starting to solve the last 2 diag pairs, we don't really have to be looking back here, and we can kind of remember what it is. So here, what I see is you can do a keyhole to solve this edge from the back. So if you do a D2, RU R prime, it both solves the, and then a D2, it both solves this pair and pairs up this for the last slot. And then you get a nice OLL, PLL. So that's how I would have tackled those last two pairs, and I think that would have been a pretty nice solution.
So I had some thoughts on what Jack could have done on second pair that actually leads to a pretty nice continuation. This is something that I don't think is super feasible for him to see at his skill level right now, because there's a lot of pseudo stuff going on and it requires you to have information of a lot of pieces at the same time. And I don't think it's the biggest thing for him, but I do want to show this pretty interesting F2L continuation just because there's some cool ideas here. So we're going to do the same cross plus one that Jack did. So same as before. Now here, what I want you to notice is that we can actually, instead of just solving orange blue as the 11 move pair solution, what we can do is we see that we have our blue red corner solved, and we can actually set up this orange blue edge and this orange blue corner and this red blue edge into a pseudo slot. So if we insert this edge with L prime UL, what we can do is we can actually do a D move, and the way that this kind of works is you can think about it as you're actually just going to keyhole red blue first, because this ends up being a pseudo multi-slot. So when we insert red blue, we actually just get the keyhole made, and then this multi-slots with this orange blue corner and this orange green edge. So now we can do R, U prime, R prime, and then now this is where our pseudo slot is, and we have this pseudo pair. So we would do D2U, and now we can just insert this pair at the back with L, U2, L prime, D. And this is like a really, really efficient F2L. It's a pretty tricky idea to spot kind of on the fly. I think someone like Timon might be able to see this. You would need a high level inspection depth in order to actually do the solution practically. But, you know, cool little pseudo stuff that you can do here for a more efficient F2L.
So to summarize our tips for Jack based on that one solve he did, from inspection, make sure you've got a better transition between cross plus one and your next pair. That's the whole point of doing cross plus one, is so after you've finished that step, you can already be looking forward beforehand to your next pair, so you don't have that pause going into the rest of your F2L. Whenever you're making rotations, be aware of what pieces you're rotating into the back, like that corner we had in the back left. And antisune, make sure you're not re-gripping and doing that from home grip. But great solve. Thanks for sending it in. And we look forward to going over some more viewer-submitted solves in future weeks. And if you want some actionable improvement points like we just did for Jack Maddigan, you can also get coaching from myself. Go to millscubing.com. We'll help you work on your solves and figure out what you need to do to get those times you want. See you there. All right, so the main topic we're going to be talking about this week, which a lot of you might not even expect because it hasn't really been brought up in the community yet, is the WCA have kind of secretly made a big announcement recently. They are officially hiring an executive officer. So this is a paid position in the WCA. They're offering between 80 and 120,000 US dollars for somebody to come and work as the executive officer, work with the board and take on a lot of responsibilities as a paid individual, not a volunteer. This is like, firstly, this is just huge news, Dylan. Like, what's your first thought when you read this?
My first thought is that this should help out a lot with, you know, I've been slightly critical in the WCA in the past, but this should help out with things being moved along a little bit more expediently. That's what I'm most excited about. I think also it shows that, you know, the organization is in the right headspace. Like, I've talked to people about this, like they think an executive director would make things a lot more streamlined, and that's really the biggest thing that I'm excited for.
Yeah, this has been like in the talks for quite a while, like key players in the WCA talking about this. Obviously, there's the board of directors who do an amazing job, but they're all volunteers. They all have full-time jobs, full-time lives alongside what they do, and they can only help so much. So seeing this kind of thing, I mean, it's unheard of for the WCA. like they've paid software people and they've contracted out like website design and stuff like that, but this will be like the first time we've got a paid person not heading the WCA but very close to, because this executive officer will report to the board. So let's kind of go through what this job entails, because it's quite interesting, and it's going to require a very experienced person to do this job. There's no way you or I could do this. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, probably.
Are you doubting me there?
No, I'm a little sad that you're doubting me. I mean, I think I.
Anyway, so we're just going to kind of look at this job listing, which is on Idealist. Sorry. If you want to apply, why don't you go apply? Read the job description, send in your CV. Maybe you could be the next executive or the first executive officer of the WCA. Anyway, so they kind of introduce what the WCA is and what it does. And you can actually say here, it says, with a mission to grow the sport of competitive speed cubing around the world. So that answers our question from a few weeks ago, I guess. And it says the WCA is at a pivotal point in its growth trajectory and is looking for its first executive officer. I think that's so key that they understand like the important point the WCA is in at the moment. With the high growth of speed cubing we've been seeing, if everything remains as is, we're going to see just a lot of people kind of quitting, I think. Because there's not really a career path for competitive speed cubers yet. I think we're kind of getting there, but like you and I, we're trying to do it, but we're working with our own sort of coaching stuff to try and form that path. And I think a more structured WCA with more competitive high-level events that supports our top competitors is going to help with that. And it's like, it needs to happen very soon. So I'm glad to see the WCA understanding that.
I 100% agree. I mean, I do think it is a very pivotal time for the WCA. It's kind of like they've been trying to tailor to both parties of like the competitive solver and like the grassroots. And I think you can still do that effectively, but it kind of harms both sides when you do it that way. Like you're trying to do a little bit of both and you're spreading yourself too thin. And I think it's understandable for the organization to want to prioritize the grassroots because that's what we've done for so long. And ultimately cubing culturally is like just a wholesome thing that people do as like a hobby. But like you said, there's people who are trying to push for this to become more of a career path. And, you know, I've been someone that's been trying to do that. And I don't think the current generation is able to do that. But if we make these types of moves, we're aligning our interests like through this executive officer to like eventually have an ecosystem where that can exist. And that's so exciting. That's so exciting.
Yeah, I think like right now, so much change needs to be made. And the WCA is a massive organization. Like there's like 500 plus volunteers within the organization. And it's hard for a board of 5 volunteers to steer that massive boat full of volunteers. So to have somebody paid who can spend their entire day at the wheel is so critical. But let's have a read on throughout this role. So it says here, this role offers the chance to shape the future of competitive speed cubing in conjunction with our passionate volunteers and dynamic board of directors. There we go. We're just talking about that. You will excel in a geographically distributed environment, taking ownership of the organization's strategic programs and the oversight of operations, volunteer management, external relations, and financial performance. So they're taking a lot on here. They're taking a financial role. They're taking a volunteer management, strategic planning. Like within a big organization, those are jobs for a lot of different people. And we're relying on one executive officer to take on quite a lot. Obviously, they've got the assistance of the board and other teams within the WCA, but this seems like it's going to actually be quite a big job.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, those aren't a lot of skills that like a singular person possesses, at least like in my experience.
Yeah.
Like doing financial stuff is not easy. And then of course being like managing all of the staff members and everything, it's not trivial at all. So I mean, big ups to whoever wants to take that on, because I do not envy
I
you.
don't.
Yeah, I don't want to either.
And it also says that they'll be responsible for maintaining key strategic alliances and developing new collaborative partnerships. So I'm pretty sure this is talking about like their relationship with Rubik's. That's a key source of income for the WCA when it comes to funding these big like world championships. Like those are almost solely funded by Rubik's partnerships. So I think that's a key thing there. And obviously, as of now, there's a lot of reliance on Rubik's. And if they pull out, it's going to be extremely difficult to fund these continental and world championships as Rubik's have done in like since 2022. They've been doing all of the continentals and they've funded the world championships for as long as I can remember. So I think here they're saying that they want to build more partnerships so they don't have such a heavy reliance on Rubik's. Because it's got to be stressful thinking, oh yeah, we got this world's coming up. Oh, if Rubik's just decide they don't want to, what are we going to do?
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's really key. I mean, I've been saying it's really hard to get like an outside sponsor because sponsors want to come in to get eyes on themselves if they're not from like inside cubing, who, Rubik kind of just wants to help out worlds because then that's like, their interests are aligned. But for an outside sponsor developing these new collaborative partnerships with all this freaking corporate lingo, yeah, like it's interesting because now, like we said, like Worlds got over 500,000 views on the stream for across all the days. Like the eyes on cubing, at least at these very high level events, and like hopefully, with the introduction of like more head-to-head competitions, like like you said, these continentals, just the fact that streaming is becoming more readily available in these places will make it more enticing for like an outside sponsor to actually say, yeah, like we will help support and fund these things because it is mutually beneficial now. So I'm really, really excited at the prospect of WCA partnering with some other outside sponsors.
Yeah, I definitely think it's an avenue that is opening, and we're in the pivotal point where we need to take these kind of opportunities. And then it goes on to say, under the guidance of the board and reporting to the chair, which I believe the chair is currently Kerry Jarman. We might have to fact check that. Is it Kerry Jarman? Now I'm going to fact check it right now because I'm doubting my own knowledge. Officers and board. It is Kerry Jarman. Okay. Anyway, back to it.
Bros tapped.
They will be instrumental in delivering the WCA's mission amidst today's opportunities and challenges. There's a lot of challenges. This will be a challenging role, that's for sure. Managing all aspects of the organization's operation. All aspects. From marketing and communications and sponsorship relations to policy creation and financial oversight. They're just chucking more stuff in now. Yeah, they're piling on the jobs.
Dude, I was about to say, like, I thought it was busy before, but this is insane. Like, there's so much this person's doing. I mean, I guess that's why they're getting paid. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and it says,
exactly.
Expect a 40-hour work week. Like, it's a real job, but oh my goodness, like, that is a lot.
It really demonstrates the situation right now. We're looking at a job description for somebody who will be paid between 80 to 120,000 US dollars. And we're reading this job description and thinking, wow, that's a lot to take on for a well-paid full-time job. But this is all already being done by volunteers. I think it kind of highlights the amount of work that is being done behind the scenes by volunteers, that we're thinking that, oh, even someone in this paid position may not want this job.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so the committees that like operate these things, like I'm assuming that they would still exist. Like, they don't just instantly get dissolved because this executive officer is there. Like, presumably some level of volunteers will still aid in this, or like maybe this
Yeah.
person just delegates these things to them, and is more like overseeing that stuff.
Yeah,
I don't know.
that's right. Like, there's obviously currently a lot of volunteers, but when you have such a big volunteer team, it's a massive job in itself to organize all of those teams and figure out, okay, who's doing what. There's a whole like hierarchy within the organization that is just an absolute nightmare to manage, and almost too hard to manage for somebody in a volunteer position. So I think a lot of what this executive officer will do is they might actually not do that much of the grunt work, but they will figure out what work needs to be done and figure out who needs to do it and pass it down the chain. I'm from my understanding, that's going to be a lot of the work, but there's obviously going to be jobs that are so important that you can't rely on a volunteer team to do. Maybe you can rely on a team, but you can't rely on individuals. It's managing volunteers. I don't know. I don't want this job.
No, I think that's the common thread here.
Yeah. But then it goes on to list the key responsibilities. So even more, we got strategic leadership, demonstrate enthusiastic and effective leadership and fitting representation of the WCA, our values and vision. Okay, we're going to need a leader there with leadership skills. Lead strategic planning with the board of directors. So planning strategy for years in the future. Responsible for delivering on the objectives of the strategic plan and the overall success and future sustainability of the WCA. More work, provide clear and consistent direction, and create a positive, inclusive, and engaging organizational culture. That is a key one to me. Reading that is so important to see, because obviously the WCA is an extremely passionate organization. I think that's how I describe the volunteers. There's a lot of passion involved, but there's also a lot of differing views. And at least from my experience volunteering with the WCA, passion between some of the volunteers can get a little bit out of hand and start to get a little bit toxic, especially when changes are made that other volunteers don't agree with. It starts to get a bit heated from both sides, from all sides. Everybody just feels so strongly about the organization and the sport they love. Well, saying sport is probably going to start an argument within the organization anyway.
It will.
Between the hobby and the act of solving a Rubik's Cube we love. So I think trying to, I don't know, unite the volunteers is difficult because it's kind of split between those who want to see it grow competitively and kind of split, but like us, and want to see it split between grassroots and competitive, and those who are just like, no, we've been doing it the same way for so long, it works really well, it works so well at the grassroots level. If we start to split it, like, this is too much change and maybe it's gonna like diminish what the WCA actually is. And there's a big split there of differing views, polarizing views, and somebody, this executive officer, hopefully needs to figure out how to unite those people and kind of bring everybody back together. That's what I hope to see. And hope to see a positive vibe. And I don't know how you do that. I don't know how you do that.
I hope to see it, man, but like, I don't know.
It's political. It's political.
Very, very political. And like you said, everyone loves this organization, especially the volunteers who have put so much time into it because they care about it so much. Everyone ultimately wants to do what they think is best for cubing. And
yeah,
it's really hard because everyone's so passionate about it, and what they want it to be is just not the same across the board. And like you said, I think it is maybe like a year ago, the split was a lot more to the hobbyist side, but at least with the way that the WCA has been operating in the last few months, and the fact that this is even being posted, the fact they use the word sport shows me that like whether or not the volunteers inside care or not, it's going one direction.
Yeah. So we don't want to lose those volunteers. So
Yes.
I just want to see that even if we're going in the direction that we want, I hope that they can still include those volunteers who've done such a good job with the organization as it currently is, and convinces them to stay and still love the hobby and the sport and cubing in general. Because we don't want to see a split. We don't want to see the WCA split in half. We want to see everybody united in like a hobby and an organization we love. Anyway, we kind of rambled on a bit there, but I think it's an important point to make. There's still more that this executive officer has to do. We're like barely through it. They've got to do financial management, manage the budget and financial resources. They need to develop the annual budget with the help of the financial committee and the board. Financial reports, they've got to help analyze those. They've got to oversee fundraising and donor relations and ensure financial stability and sustainability. I don't know how you do that. I don't know. They get income from the dues fees from registrations. They get some income from sponsorships like Rubik's and stuff like that. So that's a whole thing. That's a whole job right there. I don't want to do that.
No.
Anyway, let's keep going. Operations management, oversee day-to-day operations and management of paid contractors and volunteers. Those paid contractors are, I believe, only software or website people right now. Yeah. Oversee supportive relationships with the WCA's regional organizations. That's every single country's organization for within their competition organizing. So like Speed Cubing New Zealand, Speed Cubing Australia, Cubing USA. That's a lot of connections you've got to build and maintain. Provide timely reporting, plan for, develop, and implement change in relation to volunteers, systems, processes, infrastructure, and technology as needed.
Interesting.
Negotiate contracts, organize and manage the WCA annual members meeting. The list goes on. The list goes on. Oh my goodness, there's so much more. Governance and board relations, program development, external relations, qualifications for this position. Oh, okay, this is interesting. I'm going to skip down to qualifications for this position because otherwise this podcast is going to go on for hours. Have previous experience as an executive officer or in a similar leadership role within a non-profit. This is the key point. We're almost definitely not going to see someone within the WCA organization take this role, because it's such a big role that a volunteer most within the organization most likely does not have the experience for. Maybe there is somebody in the organization that has this experience, but I don't think so. So we're likely going to see somebody coming from outside the organization. And a question our producer Matt asked us beforehand is, who would we like to see in this position? And my answer to that is, I don't have a person in mind, because I don't believe anybody within the organization has the skills to undertake this role. But who I want to see is, as said here, somebody who's got experience doing this stuff within a nonprofit. And I also want to see somebody who has a relation to cubing. They don't have to be a cuber themselves, but someone who's got some sort of relation, like their kid cubes and their kid loves it. So they have a connection to the community and they know like how important it is to so many people.
Yeah, I don't have a particular person in mind. Give me Big A. I want Big A in the WCA. Matthew will get that one. Maybe other people watch.
I don't know what you're talking about.
he's a cool guy. Anywho, yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. You, like you said, you want someone who can be able to not just look at the community as like their job of like this thing that they're trying to grow, but rather we want someone else that is equally as passionate as like the hundreds of volunteers that are in the organization and who, you know, you trust to come in and like understand the culture of the community, what people's best interests are, and then act accordingly. And I don't know, on top of like the person that they want to do this, it's a very specific person. Like
I know. I don't know if this person exists.
I don't know either. Like really, like who wants to come in? Okay, $80,000 to $120,000 a year, very very good wage. Okay, great. The types of roles that these people who would take this on have done previously, with the amount of work it seems like they're going to be doing, like they probably were getting more at a certain period in time.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, I hope, I pray that we find someone, we find our perfect match made in heaven. They come in, they make
Our
great
savior.
sweeping change. Yes, please save us. But I don't know. It'll be hard. I mean, do we know how long this listing's been up for? And I think some people
18
have
days.
applied. Okay.
Yeah, so
Interesting.
I first saw it like pop up on LinkedIn like a few weeks ago. And then it's been discussed within like the WCA staff stuff as well. But it's been public for a few weeks, but it's not been advertised by the WCA to the global public yet. So we're first on the news here, first on the news at the Millisecond podcast. So shout out us.
Shout out
but
us.
That was that qualification I just said, that previous experience as an executive officer, that was only the first on a list of things. Previous experience of managing and supervising a large cohort of volunteers. Highly skilled in strategic planning and organizational leadership. Experienced financial oversight. Possess excellent communication and interpersonal skills. Have experience developing and successfully implementing strategic plans. A track record of working effectively with not-for-profit volunteer boards, and understand the speedcubing community. I already made that point. I didn't even realize it was on there. I think you're right, Dylan. I don't know if there is a person that meets all of these, but maybe that's not the point. Maybe they just want the person who meets the most of these criteria.
Yeah.
I think that's probably what they're going for. They want to find the person who's got as much experience as they can, who's willing to take on the role. And yeah, I'm pretty sure we did on that LinkedIn listing. I saw like a few applications, and some LinkedIn mogul shared it on their thing recently, and people were commenting about it, saying like, oh yeah, I've applied. People who aren't related to cubing, as far as I know.
Interesting.
So it's a lot. This job is a lot, and it's so exciting. I'm so excited to see this happen. Just a quick note, you have to be a US citizen to apply. That's it's a remote job. But I guess because of the organization being based in the US, it requires a US citizenship or work visa. So it is, this is interesting. 40 hours per week, part-time considered. So I guess if they find someone who's like key for the role but wants to do part-time, that is something they might go for. I'd expect not, because I don't think anybody could do all of this stuff with less than 40 hours a week.
That seems crazy, but maybe they just work like that. I don't know.
Yeah, and you also get medical, dental, vision, PTO, and retirement benefits. Shout out WCA.
Shout out.
But yeah, I think to conclude on all of that, this is so exciting to see this change. So exciting to see this finally happen. This is out in the public. People are applying. People are talking about it. Hopefully us talking about this is going to get more people talking about it. If you know anybody who's got experience in this kind of stuff, send them to the WCA. We want them. The WCA wants them. Shout out to the board for getting this all sorted, and good luck to them. in the hiring process,
Good
that is
luck.
going to be an absolute nightmare. You almost have to pay somebody to undertake the hiring process.
Yeah, like,
But
my goodness.
I think this is the start of a snowballing effect. Like this
Yes.
is the big start, and hopefully whoever's doing this role is going to start picking up more and more people and more momentum, and we're just going to keep on going from there. Any final thoughts on this, Dylan?
I'm glad to see it. I've been talking to people about this for a little bit. This does seem like a very large undertaking for somebody, but I think it's a change that needed to be made. And I think if we get someone who is competent enough in the position, it will be very, very good for the WCA. And I think we will look back at this as, like you said, the turning point of when things really started to take off for the organization.
Come see me November 1st and 2nd in Rhode Island for Cubing USA All-Stars. It's going to be the ultimate cubing spectator experience.
If you can't watch Cubing USA All-Stars in person, you can watch it here on Speed Cubing TV, your home for competitive speed cubing content.
All right, now we're going to do our weekly race. We are currently 3 wins to 0 for Dylan to me. So I am still yet to get a number on the board. Hopefully I can turn it around at some point. But we're going to do the 4th race now. Can Dylan keep his winning streak going? No. I tricked the ZB.
563.
I got a 7.
I did 5 pairs.
Okay.
5 pairs, 5 seconds.
ZB. I get too nervous when I'm racing against you, Dylan. You're my hero.
I get nervous racing against you.
Aww.
Oh, that's so sweet.
Right, that was a fun race. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode of the Millisecond. A slightly longer episode, I feel like, but I was so passionate to talk about the executive director stuff and talk about everything that's happened this last week. Thank you, Dylan, for tuning in to this call once again. I always love chatting to you.
I love chatting to you, Mills.
And I look forward to keeping this podcast going.
Yeah, me as well. Hopefully the viewers at home still want us to keep going. I mean,
yeah, maybe they want us to shut up at this point.
Yeah, they're like, guys, you're yapping too much. Come on, log in.
Too much yappy.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next week.
Peace.